Have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
What say you?
We, the jury in the case of Tinker versus Moines School District, find the defendant guilty of charge of violating the First Amendment of free speech.
Thank you, jury, for your service today. Court is adjourned.
Yes.
The class was really fun for me today. It was a good learning experience, and it showed how important our amendments are to everyone and how important it is to know your rights and things like that. I would recommend it to other students because it's a very good learning experience. It's fun and it's really enjoyable and all.
I learned that like all Americans really, no matter what, like race, gender, anything really, anybody who is an American, everybody just has the same rights and that they can't be taken away from anybody.
So our students have been really busy studying and analyzing our Bill of Rights. You know, kind of like having that conversation on what do those rights mean and where are we allowed to voice those rights. And so particularly this case studies the First Amendment, really honing in on do students have the right to free speech and do they have the right to, voice those opinions. And so we studied the famous landmark Supreme Court case Tinker versus Des Moines, which was during the Vietnam War, and the students wore the armbands to protest the war, and they got suspended from school. And so it kind of raised that question, do students have that right to free speech? And so the parents ended up taking them to court, and they ended up winning, and they said that within reason, students should be able to voice their opinions in school. So we're acting out the mock trial today. Students did phenomenal. They made me cry. They've worked so hard, and they each wrote their own script for this. They had to come up with their own reasoning with evidence from what they've studied and learned, and they've really pushed each other, which is really cool, and giving feedback to make each other better, and they've just worked so hard, and to see that come to life has really been incredible for me, so I'm really proud of them. Hands-on activities anytime with the students is the best way to learn. Anytime I think of my childhood and what I remember, it was always with something hands-on, and I think giving the students to push each other's thinking and having those important conversations is super important, not only for education but just for life and in their skills when they get older. How are they going to respectfully disagree with somebody or voice their opinion in a proper way. And so I just think it's been really cool, and they're all values that they need to learn, and so I'm just really happy to be a part of it and be able to do it with them.
Thank you guys so much for coming, the families that took time out of your day, and I know it's not easy to get off of work or come here in the middle of a day on a Friday, so I really appreciate it. This is the most parents and family members I've ever had come to a mock trial before, so I really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to the students and to the school, so I so appreciate your support and coming. So our students have been working extremely hard. There was a lot in this unit, so we first started studying the Bill of Rights and our Constitution, and really talking about what do those rights mean, and are students entitled to those rights too, or is it different because they're younger? So we started studying about the Vietnam War a little bit, and talked about why that war was controversial, and we studied a famous landmark Supreme Court case called Tinker versus Des Moines, and it was about students who wanted to peacefully protest the war in Vietnam by wearing armbands. You'll see them on the arms. They're just black armbands with the peace symbol on them. And they had a plan to wear them to school. And because the war was so controversial, the school banned them and said, no, that's not a good idea. And if you wear them to school, you're going to get suspended. So the students, a few of them still wore them to school. They got suspended. And so the parents ended up, taking it to court and saying, but they have the right to free speech. And so it really raised that question on, what are students allowed to say and what aren't they allowed to say, and how can they voice that, and what's appropriate. So we studied this case, and they worked so hard. They each wrote all of their opening statements, their closing statements. They wrote their own questions. They came up with their own answers. So everything you see them do is it's them. So they put in this work. They put in all this practice. I couldn't be more proud of them. I know that they're super ready. I know they're a little nervous, but they're going to do amazing. So I'm really excited for you guys to see that. So just to explain who is who, if you can't tell who my little hippies are, these are my two lawyers. They are defending the students and their families on saying, you know, they are allowed to voice their opinion. And these are my my witnesses and my students that wore the armbands. On this side, I have my two lawyers that are defending the school and saying, you know, the school has a right to make rules and follow through with consequences if those rules are broken. And this is my principal of the school, my gym teacher, and another student who had an altercation with a student on that side during school. In my back here is my jury. We really had to study how to see both sides in a case, because I really try to teach not in a biased way. I want them to kind of make their own opinions on things. So they had to look at both sides of this case and kind of come up with what they thought was right and what they thought was wrong. So you'll see them more towards the end. If you can't tell, my two intimidating men in the back are the bailiffs. So they're kind of like the cop of the court, I guess. So their job is to just keep things, running smoothly, make sure that nothing gets out of hands, and everybody's behaving. So you better behave in the back over there. And then my three up here are my judges. They keep order in the court, so they really facilitate the whole thing by, telling who can talk, who can't talk. So they do a really nice job with that. I also have Yashira to my left. She is the stenographer. So her job is to document everything that's said in the courtroom. I don't know if I don't think that happens in court anymore, but for the sake of, learning new vocab, that's what Yashira is doing. So she has a little poster made by a student in my other class. But all the work you see up, the posters, was made by this class and the other class. So I don't want to talk too much, but they do a really nice job. So I'm excited.
Please rise. The court is now in session. The Honorable Judges Kayla Saunders and Elise Diaz and Martin Phillips presiding.
Everyone but the jury may be seated. Mr. O'Quendo, please swear in the jury.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly listen to this case and render a true verdict and a fair sentence as the defendant?
I do.
You may be seated.
Louder, guys.
Members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty based only on the facts and evidence provided in this case. The prosecution must prove that a crime was committed and the defendant is the person who committed the crime. However, if you are not satisfied of the defendant's guilt to that extent, then reasonable doubt exists and the defendant must be found not guilty. Mr. O'Quendo, what is today's case?
Today, Your Honor, is Tinker versus Des Moines.
Is the prosecution ready? Yes, Your Honor. Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Prosecution, you may begin with your opening statements.
Your Honors, members of the jury. Today we are here that on the months through December through January, that the Moines School is guilty for violating the First Amendment. They violated the First Amendment's freedom of speech and freedom of expression. The students which were participating were peacefully protesting against the Vietnam War. However, they were suspended without the consent of the school board and were harassed by students, threatened by staff, and the principal took no action whatsoever against this. And the actions that they committed were peacefully wearing black armbands, for which the school gave a pathetic 2 days notice with no evidence whatsoever that they actually, tried to let them know. And for all we know, how they gained, how they found out they were wearing it, they spied on the kids. Please find them guilty. Thank you.
Defense attorney, you may begin with your opening statement.
Your Honor, members of the jury, my name is Michael Rivera, and my co-counsel and I are representing Des Moines High School in this case. We intend to prove that on the day of December 16th, the school did not violate the students' First Amendment right to protest. As the officials at Des Moines High School had done their job correctly, the students who had participated in this act of protest had violated a rule put in place by the school 2 days in advance. When told to take the armband off, the participants refused and continued their actions. The actions the participants had committed created a disturbance of school discipline, therefore it was justified to suspend. Please find Des Moines High School not guilty of violating the First Amendment. Thank you.
Prosecution, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honors. I call to the stand Mrs. Tinker.
Will the witness please stand and be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated.
Please state your name for the court.
I am Mrs. Tinker.
What is your relationship to the case?
I am the mother of Mary Tinker.
What morals did you teach your child?
I've always taught my kids to believe in peace and that violence is never the answer. I also raised my children to be proud of what they believe in, so I did not support the school when they banned these armbands.
Did your child have any violent intent?
No, my child was just standing up for what she believed in.
Was your child protesting to disrespect soldiers?
My child was not in any way trying to disrespect the soldiers. She only wore the armbands to peacefully protest against the government that forced the soldiers to fight in the war, which if they rebelled to do so, they were to spend time in jail.
What influenced Mary to protest?
In my past, I was surrounded by violence, so I never wanted my daughter to be exposed to it.
Why would Mary continue to protest when she was told to stop?
I would never want my daughter to be vulnerable to what she truly believed in with her heart.
Thank you, Your Honors. No further questions.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
So, you're saying your child was standing up for what she believed in. Does your child believe it's okay to break the rules?
My child and I did not see it as breaking the rules, but as wearing the armbands were never said in the school rules, my daughter and others couldn't wear them.
How do you know?
I know because it is within our First Amendment to have our own beliefs and opinions.
Was your child intending to disrespect her classmates and teachers only for her selfish beliefs?
Objection! That's intimidating the witness.
Objection sustained.
So, despite not wanting to expose your child to violence, you thought it was okay for your children to cause chaos.
The chaos was caused when other peers attacked them for their beliefs, and during all this, the school did nothing to help. Also, the chaos was caused by others not respecting my daughter's and her peers' beliefs at school. As the school always said, they do so regardless of their personal opinions.
Sure it was. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
You may step down.
Prosecution, you may call your second witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call to the stand Chris Edgar.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may be seated.
Please state your name for the court.
My name is Chris Eckhart.
What is your relationship to this case?
My relationship to the case is that I wore a band.
What is your moral code?
My moral code is that peace is always the answer.
How did you feel about the students who threatened you when you were participating?
I felt that the threats were unsafe.
Would you trust the school again after this incident?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
The defense may cross-examine the witness.
What is your involvement in this case?
I wore a band.
Why did you wear the armband?
To protest the war.
Why did you refuse to take off the armband?
Because I know what I was doing was right.
Did you know that this was against the rules?
Yes.
Are you aware of the consequences?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Prosecution, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honors. I call to the stand Beth Tinker.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be
Please state your name for the court.
My name is Beth Tinker.
What is your relationship to the case?
I'm a student at the Moines School.
What were you taught as a child?
When I was little, I was taught that violence is never the answer.
Why did you wear the armbands?
I thought that I could bring peace to the war. I just wanted to have peace. I know my rights as an American, and so this was me vocalizing my right to freedom of speech.
Did you have any violent intent?
No.
How did you feel when you were threatened?
I felt my rights were being violated and I felt unsafe.
Do you think you were wrong for protesting?
No, I was standing up for what I believe in, but I feel the school doesn't have the safety.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
The defense may cross-examine the witness.
So, despite the fact you felt unsafe, did you know that others were feeling unsafe to your actions?
I didn't think a peace symbol would be scary to anyone, seeing how it symbolizes peace and love.
So, despite the fact you were standing up for your beliefs, did you know why the school committed their actions?
I don't know why the school committed these actions because in my eyes I didn't hurt or bother anyone, and I peacefully protested, so I don't know why the school committed this action.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
You may step down. Defense, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call to the stand Ciara Morales, the principal at the Moines High School.
Will the witness please stand and be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please be seated.
What is your relationship to this case?
My name is Ciara Morales, and I'm the principal of Des Moines High School. My number one priority as a principal is to keep my students safe. When I found out about the armband, I knew this was going to cause a lot of conflict in my building because this war is such a controversial topic. I acted only in the safety and best interest of my students in mind. I was not banning the armbands to take away any rights of our Constitution from our students. I banned them as an attempt to avoid altercations and drama from happening. I made a rule, I made that rule clear, I made the consequences for breaking that rule clear, and I followed through with those consequences. I didn't do anything a regular principal who cares about their students for.
Do you believe that you acted too harsh?
No,
How long have you been a principal at Des Moines?
11 years.
Why were the armbands considered a threat in your building?
Because it was going to cause a lot of conflict.
That must have caused chaos in school, huh?
Objection, leading the witness.
Sustained.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
The prosecution may cross-examine the witness.
How do you feel about the children that participated in this act?
The children in my school, my everything, I try my best to make them feel safe and treat them as they were my own.
Do you think you did a good job alerting the students that the armbands were banned?
Yeah.
What measures did you take to ban the armbands?
Suspension.
What morals does your school teach?
To no violence and to be calm.
How do you feel about the football player that physically harassed one of the participants?
I feel that he should have took more peaceful actions. I believe that it should have been handled a different way and that at Des Moines we encourage a no violence school.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
You may step down.
Defense, you may call your second witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call to the stand Mr. Marquez, the teacher at Des Moines High School.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated.
So, how long have you been a gym teacher for?
11 years.
Have you ever been questioned on your professionalism?
No,
Why didn't you let the armband students into your gym?
because they were breaking the rules.
Does your school expect students to follow rules?
Yeah.
Do you expect students to follow your rules?
Yes.
What are the consequences if students break the rules?
I kicked them out from my class.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
The prosecution may cross-examine the witness.
Why didn't you let the students who wore armbands into your class?
Because they were breaking my rules.
So you decided to deny their right to education?
Yes.
What was the students' response when you didn't allow them in class?
They were upset.
Have these students ever caused problems in your class before?
No, they're always good kids.
Did the political opinions of these students impact your ability to teach them?
Yes.
Are you aware that it is illegal to deny students' right to their education?
Yes, but I was only following the rules.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
You may step down.
Defense, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call to the stand Gabriel Rodriguez, a student at Des Moines.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Please state your name and involvement in this case.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Rodriguez. I am a student at Des Moines High School. I was unable to concentrate in school because I was so angry about the armbands, because I took it as a sign of disrespect towards our country, not as a sign of peace. Many of our families are fighting in this war, and for them to wear that really angered me.
What activities do you do in school?
I play football.
How are your grades at school?
Objection, irrelevant to the case.
Objection sustained.
Please describe how and why you ripped off the armband.
I saw the armbands, and I saw them as a sign of disrespect towards our country.
Do you consider yourself violent?
Objection.
No.
Also irrelevant to the case. You can
Overall.
Cool.
Do you have remorse for your actions?
No.
No further questions. Your Honor.
The prosecution may cross-examine the witness.
How are you today?
Objection, irrelevant.
Objection sustained.
I'm sorry, you wanted me to be nice to you. Okay. Have you ever been in a fight?
No.
Do you regret your actions towards the participants?
No.
So you don't respect their opinion?
Objection, intimidating the witness.
Objection sustained.
Do you consider yourself patriotic?
Yes.
Then why do you disrespect someone's rights that are in the Bill of Rights?
I plead the fifth.
And that shows how you school someone. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
You may step down.
Both the prosecution and the defense have now rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their final arguments. Prosecution, you may begin.
Thank you, Your Honors, members of the jury. Today we have heard a testimony about how a school district tried to silence the voices of their students' opinions by taking away their First Amendment right to freedom of expression. I would like to remind you of some important information that you should consider in your decision. In our schools, we expect students to learn how to voice their opinions, give evidence and reasoning to support these opinions, and respectfully disagree if others' ideas differ from their own. Our country was founded upon the idea of freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to question the government, petition, assembly, and freedom to write what you want. If we are taking away dialogue from students about the war simply because we all don't agree, how will our students ever learn to resolve conflict or arguments in a productive manner? The school deliberately banned students from speaking their minds about the war and violated their First Amendment rights. Students do not shed their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse states. This is why we're asking you to find Des Moines School District guilty. Thank you, Your Honor.
Defense, you may proceed with your closing argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the jury, today you have heard the testimony about Des Moines School District and students from their school. I ask you take the following points into consideration. Schools are responsible for creating rules within their building to ensure safety for all. The evidence shows the school took appropriate measures to create a rule and notify students about the rule's creation. As a principal, they have to change laws within the school depending on certain circumstances that arise throughout the year. The principal only acted in good faith with the best interests of the students in mind. I ask once again that Des Moines High School shall be found not guilty. Thank you.
Members of the jury, you have heard all of the testimony concerning this case. It is up to you to determine the facts. You and you alone are the judges of the fact. Once you decide what facts the evidence proves, you must then apply the law as I give it to you to the facts as you find them.
In just a moment, the bailiff will take you to the jury room to consider your verdict. One of the first things you will want to do is select a foreperson. It will be the foreperson's duty to sign the verdict form when you have agreed on a verdict. Whatever verdict you render must be unanimous, which means that each and every person must agree on the same verdict. The bailiff will now escort you to the deliberation room.
So hold on, we're gonna get the chairs for you guys, okay? So bailiffs, grab the chair.
Follow us.
Okay guys, this seems like it's a very controversial topic. Let's all start by saying our own thoughts about this case. Do you think the school is being unconstitutional or constitutional when they banned the armband, Cheyenne?
The school is right about preventing controversy, but they took away the students' First Amendment freedom of speech and expression by banning their armbands and suspending them for peaceful protesting.
Brian?
The school is unconstitutional because the school disrespected the students' freedom of speech, which is the First Amendment. The school is acting like they own the teenagers, but they actually don't because students can only be successful if they are allowed to voice their passions and opinions about what is happening in the world around them.
Jaden?
The school is unconstitutional because they took away the rights of the students' free speech by punishing them for voicing their own opinion. Although the students knew they would get in trouble if they wore them, I still don't think silencing different opinions is okay. This is why I think the school is guilty.
Tenari?
I get principals have to make rules, but this one wasn't fair. That's why I think the school is guilty for violating the First Amendment because the students have rights too.
Yeah.
The school is guilty because the students should have their own opinion and not get in trouble for it. The students should be able to disagree and agree. The school did a good thing by giving out a warning.
Although I can understand why the school suspended the students because they told the kids they would suspend them if they wore the armbands, they did not have a right to ban them. The students weren't physically hurting anyone, and they voiced their opinions peacefully and calmly. Do you think the school is guilty or not guilty, Cheyenne?
Guilty.
Ryan?
Guilty.
Jaden?
Guilty.
Tenari?
Guilty.
Kayani?
Guilty.
The jury has reached a verdict.
Follow us.
jury in the case of Tinker versus Des Moines School District. Find the defendant guilty of charge of violating the First Amendment of free speech.
Thank you, jury, for your service today. Court is adjourned.
Yes, all right. You guys should like stand up and down. Just a couple of things. Really quick. Again, this group was so much fun to do this with because they weren't afraid to kind of get out of their comfort zone, and it is so hard, especially in middle school, to like get up and talk in front of like not only each other but parents and their other teachers. And so I'm just really proud of you guys. You really can tell like how hard you guys worked on this, so I feel really proud of you. I'm glad that our 8th grade got to watch you guys as well. And I just again want to thank the parents and the families that came and supported what we're doing. And I love seeing you guys like in the school with us, because I have kids of my own, and one day I'm going to want to know what they're doing in school. And so I think it's really important and valuable that you guys got to come and we can all kind of work together.